Today I wanted to give you guys a bit of a perspective, and for all of you busy remote workers as well as students out there that are just getting into the gym, wanting to implement that into their routine, I want to give you guys a perspective and help you guys build as much muscle as possible while minimizing fat gain, and what I would do if I was to start all over again, if I had limited time. I think that's better. So I want to start off by saying that bulking is not the way, right? If you're thinking of bulking, whether you're even if you're not a busy remote worker or anything like that, do not bulk. If I was to start all over again, that would be the first main thing that I would focus on, right? Number one, take your nutrition a little bit more seriously. Slow things down a little bit more and don't just focus on lifting weights, because trust me, when people say that nutrition makes up 60 to 80% of your gains, I was the type of person to never really take that seriously, right? I would just disregard it and be like, "Oh, I'm just gonna hit my workout, just get a good pump, feel good, think that I'm making gains as optimally as I could, even though I haven't actually tried." But yeah. After going through both bulking and cutting phases for a pretty long amount of time, multiple bulking phases and just finishing up a cutting phase at the moment, I can say that I've experienced both, and I want to explain to you guys what I would do differently if I was to start all over again. So, firstly, why am I so against bulking all of a sudden? Well, firstly, I want to clarify what I mean by bulking. Obviously, when I say bulking, I mean an crazy amount of calorie surplus, meaning that you're eating well above your maintenance calories. Let's say for me, example, my maintenance calories is around 2,000 at the moment. Um, Eating more than 2,500 calories, and that's already stretching it out too far. Anything more than 200 or maybe max 300 calories above your maintenance, that's already way too much. Anything above that, I would literally call it dirty bulking, even if you're eating relatively healthy food. Now, what I say that, because one thing that I completely ignored, like I would hear it so many times, but I guess I would just completely ignore it because of whatever reason, right? Is that you can't force muscle growth essentially. I guess in my mind, even though everybody said that, I heard it from this YouTube video, this creator, all of that. I guess I just thought I knew better, and I was just like, no, I'm gonna grow more. I want to be bigger. I want to get bigger. And I guess that also contributed a lot to why I decided to bulk in the first place. Yeah, that's what it was. I was literally 130 something pounds. I believe my ex girlfriend at the time, she was literally heavier than me, and that was something that I hated. So I decided to go on a bulk, right? And I was like, okay, I want to get to 150, 60, 170 pounds just for the number. And that's what I want you guys to avoid. Don't just focus on the number, because the number could mean anything. Yeah, you gain a pound, you gain 2 pounds. That doesn't mean you gain muscle. I could gain 10 pounds from today to tomorrow, and it'll just be fat, water weight, and maybe a very small percentage would be muscle. Because muscle growth is a slow process. You're not gonna fix that. You're not gonna force your body to grow at a crazy rate if you're a natural lifter, of course. So don't bulk, because you're not gonna force muscle growth. All that you're doing is adding extra fat, extra pounds on your body that at the end of the day, at some point, you're gonna have to start cutting. Whether it's because you look like shit, or because you, or because you quite literally have high blood pressure, or you're in the verge of doing that, or any of that, right? Because at some point, you're gonna have too much fat for your body to handle, no matter how tall you are. So don't waste that extra money, that extra time, that extra energy, because you're wasting money on the food, you're wasting time cooking the food, and on top of that, you're just wasting energy. And to me, now looking back at it, I was honestly it was not an enjoyable experience, especially while working remotely, right? I wasn't being very active, I wasn't taking a lot of steps throughout the day, I was hardly even doing anything. I was only lifting, that's it. I wasn't doing any cardio, no steps, no incline walk, nothing else at all. So not only was I only getting 5,000 steps a day, I was eating well over my maintenance calories, at least 1,000 calories over my maintenance, which was very bad, right? And I felt bad, but I was always in the mindset that, okay, this is what I have to go through, because I want to grow, right? I'm trying to maximize growth, so I have to eat as much as possible. And honestly, worst mistake I could have made. At the end of my bulk, I was 180 pounds, and I had a lot more fat than I thought. I at some point I thought I was 15, 16% body fat, when in reality I was like 20, 21%, and that was very bad. Not only did I feel bad, I felt lethargic. I felt like I had no energy. And it's funny because whenever you're first getting to lifting, you hear all these people say, you're not supposed to go to the gym and feel tired. You're supposed to go to the gym and feel energized. You're supposed to feel good. And I don't know why in my head I was always like, no, I guess that just doesn't apply to me, or I just completely ignored that. It's like, I'm not gonna lie, at some point I was basically a meathead. I was just the guy that would put anything into their mouth because he was afraid that he wouldn't grow. Worst mistake. Because it's true. You are supposed to feel good about working out. You are supposed to feel energized. You are supposed to feel that the food that you put into your body, that you eat it, it's enjoyable, it tastes good, and you want to eat it because you need that energy, and you're supposed to feel the energy that it gives you throughout the day. And that's how I feel now because I'm not bulking. But whenever I was bulking, it was the complete opposite of that. I didn't enjoy food. I just ate because I was scared that I wasn't gonna put on weight the next morning. And it just, in the end, it just put me in a worse position because you're gonna spend more time having to cut. And that's something that I want to cover as well. But yeah, number one, that's gonna be it. Don't bulk. Number two, focus on maintaining. So if you're not bulking, what are you gonna do? That's probably what you're asking yourself, right? Focus on maintaining. Why? Because it's gonna be less calories, it's gonna be more efficient, it's gonna be more minimalistic, and trust me, your body, like I said, you're not gonna force growth, you're not gonna speed it up. So it's better to give your body the right amount of calories. Think about it like this: like there's only so much water that a glass can hold, right? Like let's say this was a um, glass of water. There's only so much, and even if you fill it up, it's just gonna overfill. And all this extra calories that's overfilling, your body's just gonna retain that, but it's not gonna be beneficial. It's just gonna be extra fat, right? There's only a certain amount of protein, of calories that your body can intake in a one day, and process it and rebuild it so that it creates new muscle tissue. So focus on maintaining, and that means hitting your protein goal, eating the sufficient amount of calories for your body weight. And honestly, you don't even have to count calories. I'm a big believer that as long as you listen to your body, you eat good food, food that you actually buy at the grocery store and not fast food. As long as you focus on maintaining, your body will give you the signals that it needs more food. If you feel a little bit hungrier, eat a little bit more, but don't just eat because you're bored, or sometimes you might eat because you're thirsty, not because you're hungry. So eat at maintenance, hit your protein goal, which is around zero point 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. Um, I know that sometimes it's a little bit hard to memorize, so I would just go with 1 gram per pound of lean mass, of your ideal body weight. So for example, if you're 200 pounds and you know that you have at least 20, 30 pounds of fat to lose, I would aim for around 170 because that's your ideal weight, 170 grams per day. So just focus on those two things when it comes to nutrition: maintenance and your protein intake. So maintenance calories and your protein intake. Maybe slightly, it's a good idea for, depending on person to person, to up your calories, increase them as you go. Because sometimes, yes, your body will ask for a little bit extra energy to build that muscle tissue. But as long as you're progressing, as long as you're getting stronger in the gym, there's no reason why you should increase your calories unless you clearly have hit a plateau. Let's say you're a newbie, you're a beginner, and you've been doing the same weight when it comes to dumbbell shoulder press, or a chest flat dumbbell press for a month or 2 months. Then clearly you need to change something. And yeah, so number two, that would be it. Number three, focus on progressively overloading. Just like I said before, focus on getting stronger, focus on getting an extra rep every single time. If you're a beginner, you should be progressing pretty quickly. You should be able to see the weight that you have on the bar move up every single time you go to the gym. Or maybe not every single time, maybe that's a little excessive, but every other day, or at least every week. If you're not progressing a little bit, like significantly, like at least a 2.5 extra plate on the bar every week, then that means that there's something wrong if you're not progressing like that. Unless you are an intermediate to advanced lifter, let's say you've been lifting for 3 or 4 years, then it's totally fine. Like you can't your progress starts to slow down. But this is for people that obviously just getting into the gym. They're busy workers. They're trying to be minimalistic, and you're probably thinking, well, what if I don't have a gym? What if I don't have a gym membership? I don't feel secure to go to the gym, or whatever it is. Do the same thing at home. I have a lot of tutorials on my TikTok or YouTube channel that you can see on quick workouts that you can do. You're applying the same principles as you would in a gym, but you do it at home. You do push-ups, you do dips, you do pull-ups. You maybe buy yourself a dip belt because, like I said, you want to progressively overload. Um, you can't just, go to the gym or do whatever workout at home and hope for the best. You have to genuinely have some kind of way to measure your progress, and your strength as well as your weight is the best way to do that. Because if you're getting stronger and you're staying in the same weight, clearly you're doing a good job because you're losing fat, but you're building muscle at the same time, because you're not just gonna get stronger for no reason while having the same body composition if you're at the same weight. So let's say you're 150 pounds and after a month you're 151. That might seem like very slow growth, but if you're eating at maintenance, it's totally normal for your body to go through the phase of what is called recomposition, where you're burning fat and building muscle at the same time. So that would be the most optimal. Don't focus on the number on the scale. Always keep track of it. Like, you should always weigh yourself every single morning. But don't obsess over it, and don't think that that's just because that number changed that you're making progress towards the correct direction. So yeah, focus on that. Maintenance, protein, and progressive overload. Those three things. And make sure, if you're a beginner and you're in maintenance, you really shouldn't see your weight go down when it comes to the weight. Just make sure that you're staying at the same spot, if not maybe going up a little bit. Because you should be seeing, equivalent weight loss to muscle gain. And if you're losing fat, putting on muscle at the same time, that's the reason why the weight shouldn't move that much. And that's the philosophy that I go by now. Now, when it comes to cutting, that's what I wanted to mention as well before I finish out this video. The reason why I say that bulking is such a bad thing is because also cutting is not the best either, right? Of course, at some point you're gonna have to cut, right, if you want to define the muscle. But the longer that your bulk is, the longer that your cut is going to be as well. The longer that your bulk is, the longer that you're putting on more fat, the longer that you're going to have to spend in a cutting phase. Me, for example, I've been in a cutting phase for almost 6 months now. And in the beginning, it's not that bad, because especially if you take, your sweet time like I did, it's not that bad because your body is basically pulling energy from the fat that it has stored. However, that also means that you're going to spend a lot of time like that. And if you spend a lot of time in a cutting phase, meaning that you're in a calorie deficit, you're constantly decreasing the amount of calories you're giving your body, meaning that it's going to be a lot harder to progress. The reason why you start losing muscle when you're in a cutting phase is because you're not able to push hard enough, because you're not giving your body the same nutrients, the same energy as you did before. It's not necessarily because of the food, but the food does correlate to that. So now I assume you guys can see why I don't encourage bulking, because just like you're going to spend a long time bulking and it's not going to be beneficial. I guess to put it into perspective, say two people start at the same starting point at the beginning of the year. One is Maingaining, the other one is dirty bulking. One is eating at 2100 calories and their maintenance is 2000, so just 100. And the other one is eating at 3,000 or 2,500, to be realistic. They're both gonna, assuming that they're both training at the same intensity, they're both recovering the same way, they're both eating good nutrients, everything, even if they're both eating the good nutrients and getting good recovery, they're still gonna have the same muscle growth. They're still gonna see the same progress in the gym. They're still both gonna be getting just as strong. However, the one that's eating those extra calories, he's gonna weigh more significantly than this person if he's eating that much more significantly. If he's eating that much more constantly, is what I mean. Why? Because he's gonna be putting on extra unnecessary fat. Just because he's eating those extra 400 calories doesn't mean that he's gonna grow faster. He's still gonna have the same muscle growth, but he's gonna put on extra weight, which is not gonna be muscle, it's just gonna be fat. Meaning that this person, the one that's eating more, he's gonna have to stop lean bulking a lot quicker than this other person, because this person is taking his time and he's still making gains. But this person is gonna have to stop and start a cut because he's getting too fat, or maybe he just doesn't look good, right? So he's gonna have to stop there, and for the other 6 months of the year he's gonna have to spend those 6 months cutting, while this other person, he's still maintaining. He's not having to cut his calories in half, he's not having to reduce anything because he's getting the right amount of calories, the right amount of protein, and he's constantly progressing, meaning that he can spend more time there. The longer time that you spend maintaining, the better. And that's honestly the best thing, because you're gonna be, if you're looking to get a pretty decent physique, you're gonna be spending at least 3 or 4 years in the gym, right? This is a marathon, it's not a sprint. So yeah, pair this up with a good routine, good sleep, good recovery, and you will have an amazing physique without any interruptions to your work life, to your student life, to your sales life. I work remotely, I was able to do this, and I still do. Yeah, I can't wait to get to a good base point in terms of my body fat, so I can start maintaining and start seeing results in the gym again. Because yeah, it definitely does get very tiring whenever you've spent so long thinking that you put on all this muscle, and then you're spending a long time on top of that cutting, removing the fat, and your progress is slowing down because if I was to stop cutting at the moment, um, I would stop losing fat. Yeah, I would start putting on muscle again, but I would stop losing fat. Um, So I basically have to spend extra time cutting, removing the fat off my body. So basically, I'm having to trade one for the other. I'm having to trade the muscle growth that I could be getting for the fat loss, which I am getting. When I could just have continued to maintain ever since I started lifting. So yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Leave a like for the algorithm, and yeah, don't forget to comment um, comment whatever you think, whatever your thoughts were, your opinion. And also, if you think that you could benefit from any personalized help, and see if you would like to apply to work with me, see if it would make sense for us to work with each other. Maybe I can help you out, give you some little bit more personalized help. You can click the link in the description and fill that form out. We can hop on a call, see if it would make sense for us to work with each other so we can progress a little bit quicker. And yeah, see you guys in the next one. Bye.